I have with me Dr. David James of Sheffield Hallam University. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. James.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, so if you could tell us the existence of the university here in India, its presence, as per the centres involved.
So we've had a presence in India for a long time, but we actually established a permanent office here in Delhi back in 2007, and it's our South Asia office. So it covers obviously India as a main market, but also the surrounding region, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and so forth. And so yeah, we're here. We have a permanent staff, and we have lots of kind of interactions and relationships with many Indian institutions as well.
All right. Well, if you could tell us about the courses that you're providing. Is it a certificate course here in India, or how does it function, the overall existence of the university?
So Sheffield Hallam University we're one of the biggest universities in the UK. We have 35,000 students, about 5,000 international students any one time, and we offer the full platform of courses, virtually all aspects of healthcare, sport, engineering, information technology, art and design, the whole plethora of arts and humanities and sciences. And so in the main, students will come and they'll either study on undergraduate programs with us and come with us for 3 years, or they'll come and study on a postgraduate course, typically for 1 year. And from time to time we might have smaller interactions of short stays as well.
All right. Well, India being one of your markets, what have you seen as to what is the scenario of higher education here in India, and how is higher education with regards to foreign university accepted here in India?
So I think I think personally I've been to India on a number of occasions to meet with Indian students. I always find them very interesting to us, because I think there's great similarities in our educational systems, and I find that Indian students tend to actually integrate very well into the UK higher education system. And I know as a university we have, I think at the moment we have maybe 350 Indian students enrolled on our courses any one time, and then they typically do very well when they return, and we have a very strong alumni network. And I think there's lots of ways in which UK universities, a university like Sheffield Hallam, can work with Indian institutions, particularly around maybe issues of capacity, like getting PhD students. I know maybe that's a particular issue facing Indian universities that need to have more students with PhDs to become the leaders of academia in India. And actually there's a relationship that maybe more established universities in the UK can help Indian institutions to, where we can work together effectively, so the Indian institutions get what they need, and also obviously we can get our hands on some great PhD students as well. That'd be one example of how we can work together.
Great. What is the involvement of IT to your university? This question is in regards, seeing that the existing government has got so much emphasis on education, inclined to information technology. So how do you think your university would be an enabler to digital India? Yeah,
I think it's a really hot topic. Obviously in India, it seems to be sort of what's driving so much of the economy. I mean, but that's not surprising, because it's driving the world. If you think of all the key innovations, the innovations that have transformed our modern world, have come out of the silicon chip, effectively, and data and communications being a massive part of it. So at Sheffield Hallam, obviously, we take this very seriously. We've got great engineering departments, great computer science departments, and are really sort of at the forefront of this work, particularly actually in what we consider in Sheffield, our city, to be what we call the digital economy. So things like gaming, graphic design, are real drivers of the economy. Things like movie production, even. It's massive. These things, films like Gravity, the Oscar-winning film, being fundamentally made in the UK. So harnessing digital technology to actually drive creative industries is a really interesting take on it. Maybe something that maybe more Indian students could do part of. I know personally I've worked with some great Indian students who come to our university to do games design, which has been really interesting. But from my specialism, so I'm in sport, and you might think, what on earth has IT got to do with sport? Well, actually, there's an information revolution that's happening in sport as well. There's so much data and analytics being used in sports broadcasting. We all want to know what players are doing, how they're doing it, how we can measure what they're doing and how we can communicate that. There's great opportunities there for smart graduates with the right skills who can really, get hold of that market and get great rewards.
Absolutely. Well, for India, we just have a few medals now in the World Championship. So how do you think sports would be able to leverage education, digital, and putting all this up together?
Well, I think something that in the UK we've really focused on in recent years is this idea of pulling together an awful lot of different expertise to support sport. We see it as it's a part of national pride to be winning at medals, but it's also about the economy as well, because sport is big business. Sport as an industry is worth more than 1 trillion a year globally. It's a massive, massive industry. Sports equipment alone is worth about 200 billion a year. So it's a big market, and actually, if there's great opportunities there for students with the right technical skills to come in, learn the right skills in mechanics, in computer science, in information technology, and to learn how they can apply that in the sporting context, and then come back and do wonderful things with the Indian Premier League. It's all about innovation, and actually what's interesting is sport in India is highly innovative. The way that you've changed the format of games to really sort of almost revolutionise the sports week you've just recently done in tennis. It's really interesting stuff, and the world's taking notice. So I think there's great opportunities actually in India in sport.
All right. Do you think India would soon leapfrog the digital revolution?
I think certainly digital learning is clearly a major strand that's coming out from across the world. All major universities are getting involved in this. I think personally, there's still going to be a role for one-on-one communication. I think it's really important to have that personal interaction with an expert, someone who really knows what they're talking about. I think you can do a lot online, but I think maybe for the more technical, highly practical subjects, I think you still do need that personal interaction. I think we might be slightly alarmed if some of our medical doctors only did a MOOC. Right. I think so. I think there always is a role for the physical university as well as the virtual university.
Great. Let's talk about the Indian students here. How do you go ahead and filter the admission procedure?
So we're very lucky that we have a permanent office here in Delhi, and they work very hard to handle our inquiries and work with the students to help them prepare an application and to make sure that they understand what the programme is, the course that they're getting involved with. Academics like myself, we come and we visit and we meet and we talk to students. Just today I was visiting a university, I'm meeting students and the parents of those students today, so we all understand what it is we're talking about here. And actually I think that's the best way, to have that open conversation up front so that we all know what it's all about, and then afterwards, if the application comes, often it's good because a lot of thought has already gone into it to know if it's right for that student.
All right. Any plans of setting up a centre here in India, like we have the Chicago University having some few certificate courses?
Yes, I think that's a really interesting concept, and I know a lot of universities are actively doing that. I don't know if we have any direct immediate plans to do it. I don't think we're against it. But I think what I'm actually quite passionate about is in my area of sports engineering. I want to see Indian universities starting to do this. I want to see modules start appearing. I want to see courses starting to appear, so that here in India you're doing it for yourselves. You've got smart people, you've got the engineering, you've got the expertise in sport. You can do this for yourself, maybe with some support by partnering, maybe with memorandums of understanding and collaborations with an institution like ourselves, and I'd really like that to happen.
If you could tell us a little about Sheffield Hallam University's existence, taking into consideration the nearby countries we have like Nepal, Pakistan, all of these. What's the student involvement?
So I can give you some numbers. Yeah. So India is an important market for us. We have currently about 350 Indian students enrolled in our programs. Less so in Nepal, a smaller market. Again, less so in Sri Lanka. But again, Pakistan's a very important, somewhat similarly sized market as well. But we recruit students from all over the world. China's a big big important market for us, for students. But as in places like Nigeria, the Middle East, and interestingly in my course, in sports engineering, my big international market is the United States. So almost half of my students come from North America, which is quite a unique situation to be in.
Are you also providing PhD courses?
PhDs are very important for the university. PhDs are they're the engine room of our research, and we do PhDs in a number of different ways. We have PhDs which are fully funded, so a student can receive a full scholarship, quite a generous salary actually for doing that piece of work, and they're very highly competitive, as you'd imagine. We have PhDs which are, say, sponsored by a company, by industry, and of course we also have PhDs, typically maybe some international PhD students who would come, they'd be sponsored by their home government to come do a PhD with us, and then normally return on contract to maybe teach in a university would be a typical scenario there. But yeah, we have many PhD students. I know I have 5 PhD students who I supervise currently, and they're working on some really exciting, interesting projects for the world of sport.
Great. At present, it seems China is top in the list of PhDs. According to you, which country would be leading in number of PhDs every year?
PhDs. I'm sure there are metrics which will tell you exactly what it is. I'm sure a quick Google would tell me who is leading the way. I think, as well as volume of PhD students, I think there's a quality as well is really important. I think a high quality PhD project is really important. High quality supervision, being part of a supportive research environment, a research centre ideally, I'd suggest. I know from our experience we have about 20 PhD students in our research centre, and that's great because they all work together, they collaborate, and we have students from around the world, students from Taiwan, we have students from Brazil, from Europe, and together they really support each other, along with a great research centre over the top with world-class expertise. That's an ideal scenario. I don't think that can be replicated everywhere for every PhD student. I'd hope it could be. I know in our institution it is, but I think maybe globally it's not that case. So I don't think it's always just a case of numbers. I think quality is very important. If you're looking for, we're looking for, the research leaders of tomorrow who are not only they've got the skills, but they're also working on really important projects, things that are going to really change things, and that's hard to do. It's not easy.
Right. Well, here we see with many foreign universities coming here in India, and also vice versa. Is there any exchange of where we have a exchange of students or something like that? And how thoroughly do you follow this change of students? Like we have like Indian students there, and exchange.
I think this is something, this idea of almost like a bilateral exchange.
That's right.
I think it's something that we need to work at. I'll be totally honest, I probably shouldn't say this, but I think the UK students are typically often not very good actually at leaving the UK. When I was a student, I went and did my degree in France. I think the idea of being a global graduate is hugely important because there's a big world out there, and I think unfortunately sometimes in the UK some UK students can be quite blinkered. They can have quite a low horizon, and so whilst we welcome the world to study in the UK, sometimes the UK student does not go to the world. They can be a bit too comfortable in their own home institution, and that's a big cultural change that's going to take a while to develop. But we've got a way to go there actually. Right.
But I think this is just the way opposite for Indians. Indians are ready to go ahead with all the coordinates in the globe. Yeah. So is that beneficial?
For us, it's hugely beneficial. I mean, I really think that one of the most important characteristics for a graduate in the modern world is to have this global outlook. We can't just think about what's happening in our city or our country. The world is so interconnected, and I think students have to have that experience of different cultures. And if they're going to stay at home, well, it's great that we get other students to come and mix with our home students, and they do get this global outlook, even if they're just staying within the UK. And of course, from my experience, I have Indian students on my course every year, and they're great. They bring colour, their fun, the enthusiasm, and just a different perspective on a situation. And of course, they're very, very bright, and all of them have gone on to do wonderful things. I mean, for example, one of my graduates is now working for your Olympic Commission, so Olympic Gold Quest, sort of the National Olympic effort. So he's working for there as a sports scientist. That's wonderful, really, to see that, you know, Anukul came, studied with us, and is now back, you know, giving something back to the ambitions, the sporting ambitions of India. That's a wonderful thing.
The existing challenges you're facing, if any?
So the existing challenges, I think we all have to work very hard to make sure that what we do as a university, the courses that we offer, are relevant in the modern world, that we keep them up to date with the way that the world is changing, that they're accessible to not just India, but to the whole world, so that our curriculum is very international. I think that's a big challenge. I think there's lots of changes in the way that courses are being delivered, from, you know, online. You've mentioned that, the virtual classroom. This is changing very, very quickly in higher education, how we address that and how we keep on top of that. And of course, you know, if we're thinking, you know, it's a market as well. There's lots of different players in this market now. We can't, you know, just accept that good Indian students will come to the UK, you know, they'll go to America, they'll go to Australia, they'll go to Canada. You know, there's a lot of players in this market now. We've all got to raise our game. We, in our area, saying particularly in my discipline in sport, we are, well, I'll say we're the world's best research centre in sports engineering. So that's how we would differentiate ourselves. We're the biggest research centre in that discipline, real expertise, and we offer sort of unique courses. I mean, in the course that I run, you know, we pair up every single student with a major international sporting brand, such as, you know, Nike, Adidas, to come and to do their research projects. We try and offer experiences, educational experiences that no other provider could do, and that's what gives us that little differentiation within the market, but it's not easy.
All right, just one last question here. That means a student of India who has an inclination to sports will have a better edge in your university, be it the admission procedure or even further studies. Yeah,
I think for my course, a good engineering student would be very welcome to see their application. Yeah, it'd be really good.
Great.